Wow, Washington's biggest recruiting win in a long time.
You are Locked On Huskies, your daily podcast on the Washington Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into a special bonus edition of the Locked On Huskies podcast. I'm Roman Tomashoff. I'm the site editor with Huskies Wire. Thanks for making this your first watch or first listen of the day, as we are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I'm coming at you with a special bonus emergency show, whatever you want to call it, because we're talking about Washington flipping five-star offensive tackle Kodi Greene, the top commit in the Oregon Ducks class, away. He's coming to Washington. He's coming home. There's so much that we need to dive into with this, and we're going to start right there, because this is something where for a long time on the recruiting trail, I was having some conversation with some friends, some different sources at different points last night and this morning when I first caught wind that this was something that was going to happen. And we were all having a discussion of, hey, when was the last time Washington pulled off a win this big on the recruiting trail? When you think about pure stars, this is their biggest win since Sam Heward in the 2021 class. Obviously, the development of Sam turned out a little bit differently, and I will personally always fault Jimmy Lake and John Donovan for a lot of how that situation turned out. But in terms of flipping a prospect, Washington has pulled off some solid flips over the course of the last 5-10 years, whatever you want to say. But this is by far their biggest win since Chris Peterson came in here and took Budda Baker away from the Ducks. And that was a long time ago. That was 2014. So just looking at the difference in that, and then, Lars and I talked about this on the show the other day, where a couple years ago, last year, Oregon flipped four-star offensive tackle Zach Staskowski and four-star tight end Vander Plug away from Washington late in the process. Now, getting back at them, obviously it's a little bit earlier in this one. It's April at this point in time, but seeing that you are able to do that to Oregon is such a big statement on the recruiting trail. A little later on, I'm going to talk about a little bit more of what that means and who else this might impact moving forward, but looking at just the ramifications of this, where I know there were a lot of people that questioned Michael Switzer a little bit when he first got the job, saying, hey, why didn't you go out and hold a search? Where Michael Switzer certainly played a big part in this recruitment. You got to give a shout out to the whole staff, whether it be Director of Recruiting Marcus Griffin, Jedd Fisch, everybody, Jimmy Doherty, the entire offensive coaching staff, and really the entire staff as a whole gets props for finding a way to pull this off and bringing Kodi Greene back to Washington. Again, a product of modern day. He's ranked as a top 25 player in the country, top 5 offensive tackle by every recruiting service. This is that caliber of prospect. And getting him where he was originally from, Eastside Catholic at Sammamish, going down to modern day, getting him to come back home is certainly a huge win in and of itself. But getting to do that by flipping him away from Oregon, where this is something we've talked about, where we've seen guys starting to leave that 26 class for one reason or another. This is a Washington podcast, not an Oregon podcast. So not going to sit here and run them down completely. It's, I'm still going to take my shots here and there, but this is something where I look at what Kodi Greene means to this Washington class, and this was kind of that building block. This is that now we go sort of moment, where winning the recruitment of Derek Zammit from Alabama a couple of weeks ago is really, really nice. That is a huge victory, but it also just kind of pales in comparison to what this is, because you're keeping one of the best players on the West Coast at home. You're keeping him away from your arch rival, which is a win in and of itself. And on top of that, this is the kind of player who, as we get into what he can bring on the field, is somebody who could start for you right away if you really wanted to, where he is a big physical offensive lineman at a huge position of need for this whole school, this program. As you continue on this journey in the Big Ten, and you look at it, he plays right tackle right now at modern day. But if you want to flip him to left tackle down the line, that's certainly going to be something that you can find a way to make work. With Carver Willis only having 1 year of eligibility left, there are a whole lot of different ways that you can look at this recruitment of Kodi Greene and this commitment and just say, this is nothing short of program changing. But I'll have more on that right after the break. because we've got a message from our good friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel has given new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Like I've been saying, the Celtics, they're up 2-0 on the Magic. Love the way that series is going. I have them making it back to the NBA Finals, where I think they're going to face off with the Oklahoma City Thunder. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. You can check out so many props and everything regarding that and some futures over on FanDuel. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, let's start on the field. Because when we look at what this class could hold, I think about Kodi Greene and I say, if he comes in and starts for you day one at tackle, I'm not going to be shocked because he is that level of athlete. But if you want to start him off at guard and, after Carver Willis graduates, like I said, you want to kick, let's just say John Mills out to left tackle and throw Kodi Greene in at one of these guard spots. Okay, you can find a way to make that work. And it's one of those things where it's really nice to see the kind of foundation that Jedd built with this 2025 offensive line class, because I look at Mills, I look at Champ Talialia, I look at Jack Schaefer and everybody else as part of that class, and I say the size, the physicality, that's all great and that's all there. And now you go and you add a top end talent to that group, where if Kodi comes in, it's, yeah, we really like what he's giving us right now. We're going to start him off at left guard and, say Paki Finau kicks out to another tackle spot. And then in a year or two, hey, maybe we make a flip-flop where Kodi is going to come in and he's going to start at left tackle now because we think we trust where he's at with his footwork, because he has all the potential to make that work. And I think when we look at what he brings right now, he is a super agile athlete who can get downhill in the run game really, really quickly, which is so critical for Big Ten play. And as he continues to develop as a pass blocker, you can find a way to make that work, especially in this scheme with what Washington is going to have at quarterback for at least his freshman season in Damon Williams. And moving forward, there's so much to like about it because he's just that level of beast when it comes to an athlete. It's so exciting to think about what he can bring you at either tackle spot. And what Jedd Fisch is building along this offensive line with size, with athleticism between the 2025 and now 26 class, where he becomes the second offensive line commitment alongside Adiong Yang, a 3-star from Roosevelt. And I say, I really like where this is going because Kodi is somebody who can completely change what you're bringing on the field. And again, being in the Big Ten, you need as much size as you can possibly get, but he also changes what you're doing off the field. Because as we've talked about on this show ad nauseum, when it comes to the recruiting front, is the more we look at what's going on off the field when it comes to the 2025 class, the 2026 class, there are so many high caliber prospects that we're considering Washington. Last year, it didn't quite work out so well. Whether you think about Andrew Marsh, you think about Donovan Olubade, the fact that, hey, they were in on him till the last minute, and both those guys signed with their respective schools, whether it be Mizzou, in the case of Olubade, or Michigan for Andrew Marsh. I look at this 2026 class and I say, this might turn out a little bit differently. Where, I talk about Zach Staskowski and Vander Ploeg flipping to Oregon. This is something where after this flip, I'm certainly not nearly as concerned about Oregon on the recruiting trail as I was maybe a couple months ago. We'll see how that plays out moving forward with somebody like Derek Coleman-Brusa. But I look at where Oregon is on the recruiting trail and I see all the guys they've lost and I say, Washington has an opportunity to strike here. And it's not just because of Kodi Greene. That's going to be the centerpiece of this all, where he immediately becomes the cornerstone of this class. But I look at how this is going to impact other guys in this class, and I say Washington has a major opportunity to make a push and establish itself right now, where I don't think they're overtaking USC in this particular recruiting class, especially since they want to take like 40 guys and say, hey, this is going to be a number one type recruiting class. But if it's always been, hey, Washington has played, third fiddle to USC and Oregon in terms of recruiting on the West Coast. But with this flip, we could start to see a change in power, a change in balance, because this proves that not only does Washington have the NIL pitch to go after some of these top guys, but they also have the coaching staff and everything it takes to make sure that they can lock it up in terms of what they're bringing on the field, off the field, in terms of development and getting guys to the NFL. But we'll get to that right after a message from our friends over at Amazon Fire TV. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribe services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. And you can play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, a Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take your or your kids' games wherever you plug in. And that's great news for me because if I'm on the road this football season, still want to play some Call of Duty, still want to drop into Verdansk, and Fire TV Stick gives me the best possible way to do that. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. This is the momentum that Washington was looking for and then some. Where, like I said a little bit earlier, you got to give props to everybody that was part of this recruitment, and that was literally everybody involved. Where you want to mention the entire offensive staff, Jedd Fisch, Jimmy Doherty, Michael Switzer, the list goes on. The off-field staff, Matt Doherty, Jake Crawford, Marcus Griffin. Everybody was involved in getting Kodi Greene to come to Washington, and it wasn't like they were just throwing a bag at him and saying, hey, we're going to offer you the best NIL deal, and that's why you deserve to be here. No. This is something where this coaching staff has laid out a very, very detailed plan on how they can not only get him to the NFL, but help him achieve everything, which was a huge thing under Chris Peterson, whereas we're preparing you for everything regarding life on the field, life off the field, which is so critical because that's what Washington's been selling to all of these prospects, right? Whether it be Derek Zammit, CJ Lavender, everybody else that's currently a member of this 2026 class, but now you're seeing that sales pitch can resonate with the best players in the country as well. That's the kind of momentum that this coaching staff was looking for, and especially heading into this weekend of official visits where you're going to have 4 priority targets on campus in Brian Bonner, Sam Utu, Denarius Gray, and Aaron Thomas. You're getting some of these high-value prospects on campus, and now they can look at this and they can say, hey, that pitch resonated with Kodi Greene, who might be the best offensive tackle in the country. Yeah, I'm certainly going to pay a little bit closer attention to this. We're coming out on an official visit. Obviously, you're still going to be doing that anyway, but now it resonates a little bit differently. And all of this just lines up with some of these reports that have already been coming out about what this coaching staff has been selling over the last, let's just call it 3 weeks, because it's not just Kodi Greene, right? Now you can look ahead at the rest of this class and you can say, look at what Bob Mulatalo wants in a school. Look at Derek Coleman Brusa, Devon Benjamin, who's some top 50 prospect that was up on an unofficial visit in the last couple of weeks. You can look at all of these guys that Washington is in on, and now all of a sudden, instead of, oh, hey, that's going to be the headliner of the class, it's, no, wait, all of a sudden, they can look to Kodi Greene and say, if that pitch resonated with him, I'm certainly going to make sure that I give it a second look, that I do my due diligence, that I, take an official visit if I don't already have one scheduled. All of these different things are very, very important. And it's, like I said, it's exactly the momentum that this Washington staff needed, where they were already really solid on the recruiting front. I look at last year's class and I say, could it have been better? Yeah, absolutely. But was it bad by any stretch of the imagination? Absolutely not. You got a couple elite prospects in Zajas Rainey Saleh and Dylan Robinson. You added some high-end 4-stars, and you added a lot of 3-stars that really have a lot of promise. Now, that's what this class has turned out to be so far. You got a couple of 4-stars in Ansu Sanoe and Derek Zammit, where it's, hey, those guys are really talented. They're really promising. Got some high upside 3-stars. CJ Lavender, Kasani Giles, Elijah Durr in the secondary are all names that certainly need to be thrown out there as well. And now that you have this cornerstone piece, this is a pitch that you can take to other guys on the recruiting trail. I know I keep saying that, but it really is important because all of these kids, they want to see that. Like I've heard Derek Coleman Brusa talk about it in some interviews with Oregon, where it's one of the reasons he's considering them so heavily was, yeah, I want to be around a strong recruiting class. And there are few stronger things than a 5-star offensive lineman to help really get that momentum building both on and off the field. And we're going to have so much more on this. I got to wrap this one up for today. thank you so much for being here. Thank you all every day for tuning in. We really do appreciate all your support. If you like these bonus episodes, you got to stay up to date because there is so much more fun stuff coming for you on the recruiting trail. Don't just subscribe here. Make sure you check out our insider program. The link to that is down in the description below. We dropped some major updates about this last night. You get a free 2-week trial, and after that, it's $4.99 a month. And all the updates that we're sending you, they go directly to your text message inbox. You can chat back and forth with me and Lars. We're going to drop insider info, whether it be from the transfer portal, recruiting, what we're seeing at practice, different things like that. It's super fun, super handy, super easy. We're going to do another insider exclusive Q&A very soon, which you're only going to get if you're one of our subscribers. So again, go check that out. It's a lot of fun. And also, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. We're there. We're everywhere. We're updating this channel with new content every single day. So please make sure you click that like button, click that little bell so you never miss when we post a new video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop right down below in the comment section. And if you're audio only, please leave some 5-star reviews. It does help us out a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.